Well, Halloween's over, unfortunately, and we trudge back into the fucking depressing ass fucking holidays, which, because of situations created, and I'm not going to get into this deep, things are fucking not good. And if anybody's locally is looking for food, give me a holler. Maybe I got some extra shit. I've been giving shit out all weekend, so that's the way it is. But anyway, shout out to all my fans up at Southwest University Hospital and Middleburg Heights. Seems I got a lot of fans that are up in the medical profession. So anyway, let's go back to the mid-70s. And this is a tricky one because there was a triple bill out, depending on where you saw it, called Death Dimension, Spend a Night in a Grave. And it was produced by Ted V. Michaels. And headlining the triple bill was, of course, the Corpse Grinders, followed by the Undertaker and his pals, followed by the Embalmer, which was actually Monster of Venice. Anyway, I had this buddy back in the day, Gasoline, and Gasoline was sort of like a walking caricature. He was my pot dealer, many other guys' pot dealers. He sort of looked like the Checkered Demon with an afro. He was pear-shaped and had an afro and had a face like the Checkered Demon. That's the only thing I could think of. He also drove an old '69 Pontiac Ballbuster. So, I know this was winter for some reason. I don't know why this thing had been brought back. I think it had done the drive-in circuit for a while, but now we're into winter. And they have been advertising this thing. I think it was at the Rialto, one of the Rialtos. So, he picks me up, we smoke some fucking weed, we go over, we're like I said, the Corpse Grinders are the Corpse Grinders. So, actually, Ted meant this movie to be a comedy. When we had the presentations at the Pioneer Two Boots Theater, we had called Ted up, and Ted introduced the film and basically said it was meant to be a comedy. But that was his sense of humor. Ted was not into gore, period. As a matter of fact, The Undertaker and his pals ran 80 minutes. Ted cut it down to 61 minutes by excising all the gore scenes, at least most of them anyway. That's the weird film in the bundle that I want to talk about, because I don't know who shot this thing. It really, it's really low budget, it's really cheesy, and the gore is really weird, and it involves an Undertaker and two guys that own a Greasy Spoon Cafe. And in the opening, they kill a girl named Sally Lamb, and they cut off her legs, and the special at the diner is leg of lamb. So this detective comes in, and his girlfriend's name is Poultry. Her last name is Poultry. So she insults them by not eating the lamb, and of course they find her address, and find her and kill her. This is the thing that's cut. I think she's impaled on a picket, on a steel fence. It cuts away real quick. So God only knows if there was any tit slicing footage or not. So anyway, like I said, the next day it's breast of chicken. So now here's your big guest, Robert Lowry. Remember him from Monogram films and things like that? He comes in as a patron. And whatever he asks for, they don't seem to have. So in the meantime, this delivery man, who is of African American persuasion, comes in and is delivering the food, and asks Doc, the cook, who's an aspiring surgeon, where they're getting their meat from. And Doc sort of mumbles something, and then the guy opens the freezer door and sees two legs hanging there, and then winds up with a meat cleaver through the head. So when Robert Lowry decides to order the chicken, the counterman looks in the back and sees the dead guy, and he goes, "What would you like, light meat or dark?" So yeah, that's the humor there. Then some girl comes in that's also this detective's next secretary and complains that she's having a stomach problem. So they drag her in the back, they knock her out, and they open her up, and they use surgical footage here. And this is kind of weirdly effective because, they show the surgical footage, they show hands going into whatever, and then she sort of wakes up and dies. And then they throw her in an acid bath. So then there's a falling out between the Undertaker and the two guys, and one of the two guys winds up getting dipped in the acid bath himself. It's all real fucking weird and crazy because the Undertaker's going after the last girl, goes to dive at her, and goes off a roof, and you figure that's the end of it, but then they're down into the funeral parlor, and a knife is shoved through a curtain and it winds up in his head. So, like I said, this is completely disjointed. The story was that I think it was Massacre Video had gotten a hold of Ted before he passed away and was trying to make a deal to get the footage that was removed and put it back in. Unfortunately, before this happened, Ted passed away. So I know there's a double bill out. Africa has a double bill out, a triple bill out with The Undertaker and his pals, whatever that print was, restored in Blu-ray, plus Love Goddesses of Blood Island and some other things. So, check out their website. But anyway, back to this whole thing. After The Undertaker and his pals ended and this black and white boring ass Italian film came on, we decided to leave. So Gas, always up for something, goes, let's go get a blowjob. So like I said, it was kind of fucking cold and nasty out there, and we went down to like 9th and 10th Avenue where the hookers used to hang out, and there wasn't a lot of them, and we weren't having any luck. So I was pretty much done with this whole thing, but oh no, Gas wants to go back over to Jersey and go down Route 21 into Newark on some fucking weird-ass side road. And we drove down this fucking road, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. There's like fucking cars on fire. There's people having bonfires, whatever. So anyway, we're driving, and he finally sees this chick wandering around who's obviously a working girl, obviously fucking wrecked out of her mind. And he negotiates a price, and then he tells me to get out of the car. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, oh, I can't do anything with you in the car. I'm like, okay, fuck you. So I get out of the car and I'm strolling around, and all of a sudden it starts to slow lightly. And I see this big mutt German shepherd roaming around, but it ain't paying any attention to me. So anyway, I'm strolling around out there, and he yells, okay, you're up. So I get in the car, and this chick's telling me about some guy who wanted to, fuck her in the ass or something like that. I don't know, some kind of weird shit. I go, you getting out of the car now? He goes, well, you won't know I'm here. I said, no. If I wasn't in the car when you were getting done, you're not going to be in the car when I'm getting done, because I know what you're going to do. So fuck you, get out of the car. So he gets out of the car, and this chick starts to go down on me. And all of a sudden, he's on the fucking windshield like this, like the car hit him. And I'm like, what the fuck? Open the door, open the door. He's pacing around the car with this dog trotting behind him. And I'm like, the dog didn't bother me. Then it dawned on me, Gas is such a fucking slob. He's got like food residue on his jacket, and the dog probably smelled it. So he jumps in the fucking car, and he's like, oh, son of a bitch, son of a bitch. I'm like, what the fuck is... And then I'm like, okay. The chick fell asleep with her head in my lap. So I'm like, all right. He goes, what are we going to do? I said, I'm going to wake her the hell up, and we're going to drop her off at the corner and go home. So I finally wake her up, and she looks at me and goes, we going out? And I said, we've gone out of the car. So I dropped her up on the corner, and that was the end of it. So that was in my first book, which will be reissued hopefully before the holidays, so maybe you can get it. And it's called Spend the Night in the Grave and Get a Blowjob. So anyway, those two films, The Corpse Grinders and The Undertaker and his pals, are pretty good. As for The Embalmer, it was a retitled Monster of Venice, which is boring as all shit. Ted threw in the Worm Eaters on a couple showings just to get rid of the Monster of Venice. But like I said, Ted was not into gore at all. Despite the titles he put out, like, Corpse Grinders and Blood Orgy of the She-Devils, that just wasn't his thing. But anyway, that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. I guess tomorrow everybody votes, as some certain states, and let's vote some of these scumbags out. This has gone on far enough. So until next time, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe. Looking for anything to purchase, 42ndstreetpete.net's the website. So until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.